Good morning, my name is Brian Johnson. I'd like to talk about this great work of the basket developed by Forex for Fun and Paul, and some of the good things that you can do with it. Okay, we'll look at the Australian dollar, and we want to show you Bosuns lines and these arrows and the pips away from Bosuns line. I think that's an important point, that this one is showing 32 pips away from Bosuns line. So we'll look at the Australian dollar, and as a rough right, it's just around about 30 pips. See that from the Bosuns line. Now, looking at the Bosuns lines and how you use them with interest currencies, strong interest currencies, trading along, you can see that it could still go down to 10477. It's interesting to note that the price generally returns to the Bosuns line. So there's a 30 odd pip profit against, and we'll just look at it, about a 30 pip loss. So it's about an even balance point. So you're looking at the trading range between the Bosuns line and the bottom line. And if you look back on here, you're given the range of 31 pips to hit Friday's close, and we're down on the price of close, and the trading price is now down. So looking at the chart, you have a risk reward of pips to the Bosuns line or pips to the 48, and at the current time the trading range is still short, and you can see that on all those things. For instance, if you're using the 200, you'd wait till it hits there and starts to go back up. So, but you have your indications here that even if you went long, and of course long on high interest bearing currencies before the rollover in 3 days time, is always a good trade. Of course, you got a reward of 30 odd pips at the current against a drawdown of 30 odd pips. So it's about even balanced ball game. It's interesting to be able to use the Bosuns line and the 48 square on the 4-hour chart to assess your risk. However, if you went on the 15-minute chart and you were doing scalping, look what you noticed. On the 15 time frame chart, if there was a long in place, you would be in a different position, and you might want to take using your indicators, although not now. There is a chance of a long trade when this goes past that, and you can automatically assess your maximum potential at the range, which is only there. You're at the bottom of the range, and you suddenly get a breakout buy, and you can use simply in the 15-minute chart the Brian's indicator that will show you the fractals on here, but the 3MW, so you'd need to switch your trading to 3MW and need the little upswing, and you might trade in a scalp that range on the long, because simple fact is your long reward risk is currently about even. Your long reward risk between these 2 points in the 4-hour range is about even. The current trade is still trending down slightly, but on a scalp, if you had the greens and the stochastic and all your scalping indicators in range, you would say, what is my reward risk for trading along? What is my reward risk for trading along. Remember, the price generally returns to Bosuns lines during the week and returns and can touch the 48. So your reward risk is approximately equal. There's not much difference. It's probably more to the downside. It's more profit than the drawdown at the moment. Obviously the best trade would be long here in the 4-hour zone, but if you want to look at scalping, you can look at your reward risk in this light simply. Is there more reward than there is risk in the transaction? The other thing that adds to your favor is, once again, if you go to your watch list and we look at the Australian dollar and the symbols and the properties, we see that the swap long is paying 10.4, so it's a far better trade for you to look at than using your trade as a short. So always we want to trade where the money is going to come in if you need to take a drawdown, and wait until the drawdown comes to you in the profit loss situation. There is another little interesting thing I've been observing in the 15-minute range and somewhat on the turn here on the CCI. So it's another indication you can look at. We have here an indication of looking here at the pips. How many pips to Bosuns, the weekly close, 38, and how many pips down to the next level is showing you your reward risk on that trade. Just a quick introduction to reward risk, and remember the trade generally returns here, and depending on the overall trend can rebounce to the monthly trend. So there is a higher reward to risk on this trade. I hope that gives you another idea of using the Bosuns lines in the 4-hour and looking at a potential scalping trade in the 15 minutes, and in the 15 minutes the scalp on there would be about here if you're using the CCI, and looking at your general thing. See, the buy volume is starting to creep up, and on this line it hasn't started to turn up yet on the line chart, but it is starting to turn up, and of course once it goes past the 5 moving average, you're looking at a scalp where you can go in and look at scalping the range, remembering that your reward risk is higher at this point, is better at this point than at the point that point, as the reward risk to here and Bosuns line is higher, and also you have another extra reward line up on the monthly close. So you can see that the currency the trade always tends to run between the Bosuns line, the lowest low, and the highest high of the 48. Bye for now is just a quick introduction showing you how you can use the figures here as points away from your retracement, away from your Bosuns line. Then you can look at the chart and see how many pips you're away from the 48 square, and look at your reward risk, which one gives you the best reward risk. Of course you can do the same here on the Australian dollar and US dollar and JPY. Okay, bye for now from Brian. Just a quick thing on the use of the new dashboard and the chart together.